Hi, welcome back to part two of our Nook Book Club discussion. Today, we're talking again about the wonderful book, The Book Woman of Troublesome Creek by Michele Richardson. And it came out last year, and I'll tell you that it really, it's on the bestseller list, New York Times bestseller list, and it has captured a wonderful audience. Um, and there's even some reading material that the author has put together on her website with music, recipes, all kinds of good stuff. So I'll be sending that link out to you in an email. I wanted to talk first about some of the research. And as librarians, we like to try to use as much of the resources that are available at the library as possible. So I did a little searching and I looked at our Gale database. And the academic Gale database, I believe it's the first one in the list because it starts with an A. And, excuse me, so the thing I wanted to point out was that Newspaperscom is a database that the library provides, and anyone can search that database with your library card. You just type in your barcode, and then you're able to search the database, which is very comprehensive. There's newspapers from all over the country, possibly the globe too. I have to check on that. So I did some searching. I put the keyword of let's see, Packhorse Library, and then on the left hand side you can choose a state, and I chose Kentucky, and then I chose a time period. So I chose the time period 1935 till 1945. And then what came up were a series of articles having to do with the Packhorse Library in Kentucky during that time period. So I just want to share a few things. I won't read them in all of them, but you can find them on newspapers.com. And I hope you can see it's probably in reverse, but there's all kinds of interesting advertisements. This is an article from 1935. It's the art and handiwork exhibited at Women's Club Convention. And it talks about the WPA explicitly. It says, okay, the exhibit at the First Christian Church includes one of the Packhorse Library, a syphilis exhibit, and occupational therapy. What an interesting combination. Oh my goodness. And it goes on to say the WPA Packhorse and Rural Library Display is a competitive one from our districts, Madisonville, Louisville, Paintsville, and Lexington. This was assembled by the different districts and put up by the WPA supervisors and Miss Sarah Hayes in Louisville, who is co-coordinator of the Women's Division of WPA. So it goes on to talk about the Packhorse Library, and it says each section has a main library from which the riders leave. Let's see, I can't see my tiny print. They establish centers and go into homes and schools carrying the books and magazines in counties outside of the mountain districts. Stories are bound as novels, children's stories, Sunday school and leaflets, and many other kinds of reading matter, and pictures are bound into attractive books with wallpaper used as bindings. Interesting. Some of these papers that are not worth binding are even used to paper the walls of houses. Not a single bit goes to waste. Old Christmas cards are collected and used too. So it goes on to talk about how these women's groups throughout Kentucky were collecting used books, magazines, etc., and then bringing them to these centers to be distributed to the pack horse librarians. Very, very interesting. The other article I found talks to, let's see, this one is the Traveling Women's Club Notes from the Interior Journal from Stamford, Kentucky in 1936. All available with your library card. So it talks about the evolution of the traveling library. So in 1898, the Kentucky Federation of Women's Clubs organized what was known as the Traveling Library in the eastern Kentucky mountains, with Miss Catherine Pettit in charge of this work. And then, so it talks about how she established something called the Pine Mountain and the Hindeman Settlement Schools. It says, our local women's club has received a plea from Miss Perryman for money, books, and magazines with colored pictures. There is a special need for Bibles and children's books. This donation is to be made in memory of Miss Pettit. All club members please send donations to Mrs. Gertrude Metcalf, Chairman, or leave at Severn's store. Anyone desiring to make a contribution to this worthy cause will be greatly appreciated. Please send all the gifts in by Friday the 20th. So I found another article about Miss Pettit, and this was talking about 1935 she passed away. So it's a very moving article, and I'll let you know where these came from so you can look them up. But it talks about Miss Pettit, and I just wanted to share a few snippets. It says, we visited with Miss Pettit on many occasions, but one of the richest experience which we ever had was our trip to the Pine Mountain School several years ago at Miss Pettit's invitation to be present at a commencement exercise. The school had long been established. Substantial educational buildings dotted the little valley. Hundreds of boys and girls were about at their daily duties, going to school, working at the farm, in the shops, and around the buildings. And it talks about it was not money or fame which impelled her. It was the constant tug from her heartstrings of those youngsters who were as fine and pure as clear, bold stream of water which poured out of the mountainside. So what a lovely fitting comment about this woman who established these, part of this school that people attended. And so wonderful. Okay, in a couple more minutes, I just want to share another thing. It's found. This is found in the Gale Academic Database, and it's a publication called Appalachian Heritage, and it's from 2014. The author is Sonia Livingston, and it's part of University of North Carolina Press. And she wrote a wonderful little essay called Blue Kentucky Girl. And Blue Kentucky Girl, I'll just read a few sentences because time is running out. And it's called Blue Kentucky Girl. Named for the moon, little Luna, Luna Blue. The details surrounding your birth are murky. Some say 1878. Others say a decade later. But why squabble over a handful of years? What's most clear is that by the time you were born in eastern Kentucky, people had settled into its isolated pockets, inhabiting hollows along the Cumberland Plateau, fringed by rocky ridges and ravines. Men cut timber for as many hours as they could stand. Women tended children and planted corn and potatoes whenever they could clear rocks from the soil. the hardness of their lives contrasted by a world bursting with waterfall and fern. Into this world little ones came, replacing fathers and mothers, child, boys, and girls for the shortest of time. And one of them, near the end of the century, was you, born into the Fugate family, the one I call out to, little Luna Blue. And then it goes on to talk about the background of the Fugate family, and just want to share the science behind it. Commonly known as MET-H, and I won't pronounce this. This is it's a very long word. Methemoglobinemia is a disorder that results in the reduced ability to carry oxygen in the blood. As a result, the blood of those affected is made darker, so much so that the darkened blood tints the skin blue, which is known as cyanosis, or the blue disease. The condition is usually caused by environmental factors, such as reactions to certain drugs and exposure to nitrates and dyes. But in rare cases, blue skin can be congenital, as in the case of the Fugates. Those randomly aligned alleles combine with by chance and geographic isolation to produce blue people in Troublesome Creek for more than 100 years. So, amazing history, amazing information, amazing essay. And that was Sonia Livingston in the Appalachian Heritage publication, volume 42, issue 3, 2014. So just in the comments, share your thoughts about what I just shared. The newspaper articles, this essay from Sonia Livingston, and then we'll come back again for part 3.